12 species had never shared a room before this moment. The orientation hall smelled like fear and curiosity mixed together, a strange combination that made everyone uncomfortable but no one willing to leave. Danny Webb found a seat in the back corner. He was 22 years old, thin but strong, with brown hair that needed cutting and eyes that never stopped watching doorways. He kept his sleeves pulled down to his wrists, even though the room was warm. A four-armed instructor walked to the front. His name was Preceptor Hallen, and his species, the Rilvorians, were known for two things: perfect memory and absolute love of rules. "Welcome to the Galactic Alliance Academy," Hallen said. "You represent the first class of the Species Integration Program. This is historic. This is also dangerous." The room went quiet. "We have predator species and prey species in the same building," Hallen continued. "This has never been attempted. For your safety, we have created protocols." He pressed a button. A holographic list appeared behind him. Rule 1. Predator class cadets must maintain 10 meters distance from prey class cadets in common areas. Rule 2. Feeding schedules will be separated. Rule 3. Territorial disputes will result in immediate expulsion. A large being near the front stood up. He was Gorand, a Torvax. His species looked like what humans might call a walking buffalo, with 6 legs and horns that curved backward. Torvax were herbivores, and they were afraid of everything with forward-facing eyes. "This is not enough," Gorand said loudly. "Predator species should be marked. They should wear trackers. We should know where they are at all times." Several cadets made sounds of agreement. "The Veloxes support this motion," said a clicking voice. It came from Syrah, an insectoid being with compound eyes and 4 delicate arms. Her species had been hunted nearly to extinction 300 years ago. They trusted no one. Danny watched silently. His hand moved to his left forearm, touching it through his sleeve without thinking. A small furry cadet near Danny leaned over. "I am Phoenix. You are the human, yes? I have heard humans are Deathworlders. Very scary." He did not sound scared. He sounded excited. "Just Danny," Danny replied quietly. "Why do you not speak?" Phoenix asked. "The big ones are deciding things about your kind." Danny shrugged. "They are afraid. Afraid people do not listen." The debate grew louder. A reptilian cadet argued that predator instincts could not be controlled. An aquatic being in a mobility suit said segregation was the only answer. Goran demanded that apex predators be housed in separate buildings entirely. "Humans especially," Goran said, pointing toward the back of the room. "They come from a death world. They eat flesh. They have pursuit predation. They are dangerous." Every eye in the room turned to Danny. He said nothing. Syrah studied the human with her many-faceted eyes. She noticed something strange. While every predator species in the room sat with confidence, with spread postures and direct gazes, the human sat small, contained, watching exits. His body language was wrong for a predator. "The human does not defend himself," she observed quietly to herself. Hallen raised all 4 hands for silence. "We will continue this discussion tomorrow. At that time, we will conduct official species classification scans. Every cadet will be designated as predator class, prey class, or neutral. This will determine housing, privileges, and monitoring requirements." The cadets began filing out. Danny moved quickly, keeping walls at his back, checking corners before turning. Syrah watched him go. "Strange creature," she said to Goran as they walked. "He moves like prey." Goran snorted. "Humans are apex predators. Their planet has creatures that make Vraxians look gentle. Do not be fooled by quiet behavior." "Perhaps," Syrah said, but she was not convinced. In the corridor, Phoenix caught up to Danny. "My friend, tomorrow will be interesting, yes? The scans will prove what everyone is." Danny stopped walking. "What if the scans show something unexpected?" "Like what?" Danny did not answer. He touched his forearm again, that same unconscious gesture, and continued walking. That night, Danny sat alone in his assigned quarters. He rolled up his sleeve and looked at the mark on his skin. 3 parallel lines, burned deep, scarred over, but never faded. He remembered the night he received it. He remembered the forest. He remembered running. Tomorrow, the scans would reveal everything. Tomorrow, they would know that the Death Worlder, the apex predator, the dangerous human, carried a mark that told a different story. Tomorrow, they would learn that Danny Webb had been hunted. He pulled his sleeve back down and did not sleep. The species assessment chamber was cold and white, built to feel clinical and safe. It felt like neither. Cadets formed a line that wrapped around the room twice. At the front, a scanning arch glowed blue, reading biological data and announcing classifications in a flat mechanical voice. Every result was public. Every result was permanent. Torvax, prey class, herbivore, threat level minimal. Goran walked through the arch with his head high. He joined a group of other prey class cadets on the left side of the room, where monitors would not be required. Veloxy, prey class, omnivore, threat level minimal. Sierra clicked her mandibles nervously as she passed through. She had known her classification her entire life, but hearing it announced made her feel exposed. The line moved slowly. Danny stood near the back with Phoenix, who bounced on his small feet with excitement. "My species is neutral," Phoenix said happily. "We are too small to be predators and too fast to be prey. We fit everywhere." "Lucky," Danny said quietly. "You worry about the scan?" Phoenix asked. "But you are human. Everyone knows humans are predator class. The most dangerous predator class. You will be monitored, yes, but also respected." Danny did not respond. More cadets passed through. A reptilian species registered as predator. A crystalline being registered as neutral. A wolf-like creature registered as apex predator and was immediately assigned 3 monitoring devices. The room began to divide. Predators on the right, watched by security drones. Prey on the left, protected by barriers. Neutrals in the middle, belonging nowhere and everywhere. Danny's turn approached. His feet felt heavy. His heart beat too fast. Phoenix nudged him forward. "Go, friend. It will be quick." Danny walked toward the arch. Hallen stood beside it, checking data on a tablet. The Rilvorian looked up as Danny approached. "Human cadet," Hallen said. "Step forward for classification." Danny stopped at the threshold. "I have a question first." The room went quiet. No one had questioned the process before. "If a cadet has a prior designation," Danny said, "does it carry over to the Academy records?" Hallen's 4 eyes narrowed. "Prior designation? Explain." "A designation from outside the Alliance. From a non-member species." Murmurs spread through the watching cadets. Hallen's fingers moved across his tablet, pulling up Danny's file. His face changed. All 4 of his hands stopped moving. "Step to the private chamber," Hallen said quietly. "Now." "No," Danny said. "They want to know who is dangerous. They should know everything." He reached for his left sleeve. His fingers trembled slightly as he rolled the fabric up past his elbow. The mark was ugly. 3 parallel lines, each as wide as a finger, burned into the skin and healed badly. The scar tissue was raised and white against his brown skin. Sierra made a sound of horror. Her species recognized the mark. Goran pushed forward through the crowd. "What is that? What is on his arm?" Hallen's voice was barely a whisper. "It is a hunt survivor mark." The room erupted in noise. "Silence," Hallen commanded. His voice cracked through the chaos. "Everyone silence." The cadets obeyed, but their fear was visible now. Even the Predator-class cadets looked disturbed. Hallen faced Danny directly. "You carry a Vraxian prey mark. You were designated as game." "Yes," Danny said. "You survived a Vraxian hunt." "Yes." Goran's legs buckled slightly. "The Vraxians hunt apex predators for sport. They consider anything less to be beneath notice. They would never mark a human as prey unless they had already tested me," Danny finished. "Unless they already knew I could not fight back. Unless they wanted the challenge of hunting something that could think and run, but not win." Sierra moved closer, her compound eyes reflecting Danny's face 1,000 times. "How old were you?" 15. The word hung in the air like poison. "You were a child," Sierra said. "A child, marked as prey, hunted for sport." Danny nodded. "I was prey. The scan will confirm it." My biological classification is predator, but my legal status under Vraxian law, is game animal. He looked around the room at all the cadets who had debated safety rules and predator monitoring and segregation of dangerous species. You want to know who is dangerous? Danny asked. It is not the species that are born as predators. It is the ones who choose to hunt thinking beings for fun. He pulled his sleeve back down. Now you can scan me. The arch glowed blue. The mechanical voice spoke. Human. Predator class. Apex biology. Prior designation, prey. Status, hunt survivor. For the first time in Academy history, a cadet registered as both predator and prey, and one knew where Danny belonged. The private consultation room had no windows. Danny supposed that was intentional. Survivors often did not like windows. Too many ways for things to get in. Hallen sat across from him. Sierra had refused to leave, clicking her mandibles in distress whenever someone suggested she should. Gorand had demanded to witness everything, claiming it was his right as a prey class representative. Danny did not care who listened. He had carried this story alone for 6 years. Speaking it out loud felt strange, like pressing on a bruise to see if it still hurt. It still hurt. The colony was called New Promise, Danny began. It was on Hestia 7 in the Outer Territories. 3,000 humans. Farmers mostly. Some miners. My parents were teachers. Hestia 7 has no alliance protection, Hallen said quietly. It is outside treaty boundaries. Yes, we knew. We thought isolation meant safety. Danny's hands rested flat on the table, perfectly still. We were wrong. The Vraxians came without warning. Their ships were fast, faster than anything we had. They landed in the middle of the night and killed anyone who resisted. The rest of us, they sorted. Sierra leaned forward. Sorted into categories. The old and the sick, they had no use for. The strong adults, they took for labor slaves. The young ones, the children who were old enough to run but not old enough to fight back properly. We were marked. He touched his arm through his sleeve. The brand means unfinished hunt. It means you belong to whoever marked you. It means they will come back for you. Goran's massive body shuddered. They hunt children. They consider it sporting. Adult humans can fight. We can use tools, set traps, work together. Children panic. Children make mistakes. Children provide better entertainment. The word entertainment made Sierra's clicking grow louder. They released 20 of us into the forest outside the colony. Gave us a 10-minute head start. I remember counting the seconds. I remember thinking that 10 minutes was not enough time to do anything except run. Danny's voice stayed flat, like he was reading from a report instead of describing his own nightmare. The first night, they caught 8 of us. I heard the screaming from where I was hiding in a creek bed, underwater, breathing through a hollow reed. The water was cold. I stayed in it for 6 hours. You were 15, Hallen said. How did you know to do that? My father taught survival skills. He said Earth humans used to be hunted too, long ago. He said we remember, somewhere deep in our bodies, what it feels like to be prey. He taught me to trust that feeling. Danny paused. His eyes looked past the walls of the room, seeing something none of them could see. By the 3rd day, only 4 of us were left. I had not eaten. I had slept maybe 2 hours total, in short bursts, always moving. The Vraxians were playing with us. They could have caught us faster, but they liked the chase. What happened to the other 3? Sierra asked. 2 were caught on the 3rd day. I heard them. The 4th one, a girl named Rose, she found me. We hid together for a few hours. Then she made a noise, a cough she could not stop. The Vraxians heard. Danny closed his eyes. She told me to run. I did. I hated myself for it, but I did. You survived, Goran said. His voice had changed. The judgment was gone. That is not something to hate. I survived because a Vraxian got careless. He found me on the 4th day, in a cave. He was alone. He wanted the glory of the final kill for himself. He did not expect a human child to fight. Danny opened his eyes. Vraxian necks are vulnerable to puncture wounds. I learned that with a sharpened bone. The room was silent. After I killed him, I took his communicator. I did not know how to use it, but I pressed buttons until something happened. An Alliance patrol ship was in the sector. They picked up the signal. By the time they arrived, the other Vraxians had fled. They took their slaves with them. They left the children's bodies behind. And you? Hallen asked. I was the only one still breathing. They found me next to the Vraxian I killed. I was holding the bone like I would need it again. Danny's mouth twisted. They had to sedate me before I would let go. Sierra reached across the table. Her 4 delicate hands touched Danny's arm, right where the scar was hidden. The Veloxi were hunted by the Vraxians 200 years ago, she said. My grandmother's grandmother remembered. We thought we were alone in understanding. Danny looked at her. For the first time, his eyes showed something other than careful blankness. No one who has been prey is ever alone, he said. We just do not talk about it. Goran stood slowly. His massive form seemed smaller somehow. I have demanded rules to protect prey species, he said. I never considered that predators could also be prey. I never considered that the categories might be wrong. They are not wrong, Danny said. They're just incomplete. You want safety rules? Then write rules for what actually threatens people. Not biology, not species, behavior, choice, intent. Hallen's tablet lay forgotten on the table. The Academy has never had a protocol for this situation. Then make one, Danny said. Or let me help you make one. I have spent 6 years thinking about what real safety means. He stood up. The debate tomorrow is about who is dangerous. I want to speak. I want them to understand that danger is not about what you are. It is about what you do. Hallen nodded slowly. I will arrange it. Danny walked toward the door. He stopped with his hand on the frame. The Vraxians marked me as prey. They were right. I was prey. He looked back over his shoulder. But prey can learn. Prey can adapt. And sometimes prey can bite back. He left them sitting in the windowless room, thinking about everything they thought they knew. Word traveled faster than light in the Academy. By evening meal, every cadet knew about the human with a prey mark. By night cycle, the story had grown 3 times larger than the truth. Danny found the observation deck empty. He preferred it that way. The viewport showed a field of stars, cold and distant, and completely indifferent to the problems of small beings trying to sort themselves into safe categories. He heard footsteps behind him. Light ones, quick ones. Phoenix, my friend, the small cadet said, settling beside Danny on the bench. You have made yourself famous. I did not want fame. What did you want? Danny considered the question. I wanted them to stop arguing about things that do not matter. Predator biology, prey instincts, species classification. None of it tells you who will actually hurt you. Phoenix tilted his furry head. The Vraxians are predator class. Does that not tell you something? They are predator class, yes. But so are the Korlani, and they have never harmed anyone. So are humans, and we defend more species than we threaten. Classification tells you about biology. It tells you nothing about character. More footsteps. Heavier ones this time. Danny tensed automatically, then forced himself to relax when he saw Sierra's distinctive silhouette. May I join you? She asked. Danny nodded. Sierra settled her insectoid body onto the bench with careful movements. Her compound eyes reflected the star field in fractured pieces. I told my clutchmates about you, she said. They did not believe me at first. They said humans are death-worlders, too dangerous to be victims. Everyone can be a victim, Danny said. Strength does not protect you from surprise. Size does not protect you from cruelty. The Vraxians understood that. They hunt apex predators specifically because the challenge is greater. It is strange, Sierra said slowly. I have feared humans since I arrived here. Your forward-facing eyes, your pursuit build, your pack behavior. Everything about you says predator. And now I see that you watch doors the way I do. You check corners the way I do. You sit with your back to walls the way I do. Her mandibles clicked softly. You are prey who learned to survive. I understand that better than I understand apex predators who never knew fear. Phoenix looked between them with bright, curious eyes. This is very sad conversation, but also very interesting. A 4th figure appeared at the observation deck entrance. Goran's bulk blocked most of the light from the corridor. Human, he said, I wish to speak. Danny gestured to the bench. Plenty of room. The massive Torvax hesitated, then slowly lowered himself onto the reinforced seating. The bench groaned but held. I owe you an apology, Goran said. The words came out stiff, like they were unfamiliar shapes in his mouth. I spoke against your kind without understanding. I demanded restrictions based on fear, not knowledge. You were afraid, Danny said. Fear makes people stupid. I know that better than most. My species has a history of isolation, Goran continued. We built walls. We separated ourselves from predator species. We believed that distance meant safety. He snorted, a sound like wind through grass. The Vraxians ignored our walls. They raided our worlds anyway. Walls did nothing. Sira clicked in agreement. The Veloxi tried hiding. We went underground, built tunnels, avoided all contact with other species. The Vraxians found us anyway. They always found us. Danny looked around at his strange gathering. A death worlder, an insectoid, a herbivore giant, and a small furry neutral. All of them carrying scars from the same enemy, whether those scars were personal or ancestral. Safety is not about walls or distance or classification, Danny said. Safety is about understanding threats and working together against them. But how do we make others understand? Phoenix asked. The Academy has rules. Rules are hard to change. Rules change when enough people demand it, Danny said. Tomorrow, Hallen wants me to speak to the full assembly. I do not want to. I'm not a speaker. I am not a leader. You survived, Cirrus said. That makes you an expert. Expert in what? Running and hiding and killing when cornered. Expert in knowing what real danger looks like. Goran's voice was firm now. The assembly debates theory. You have experience. That matters more than any classification scan. Danny stared at the stars. Somewhere out there, Vraxian ships still flew. Somewhere out there, other children were being marked and released in a forest for sport. The thought made his scar itch. I do not want to be a symbol, he said quietly. You already are, Phoenix said. The question is what kind of symbol you choose to be. Sira stood and moved to face Danny directly. My species has waited 200 years for someone to challenge the way the Alliance thinks about predator and prey. You can be that challenge. Not because you are human, because you are a survivor. Goran rose as well. The Torvax will support you. I will see to it personally. Danny looked at the 3 aliens who had somehow become his allies in the space of a single day. A prey species insectoid, a fearful herbivore giant, a small, curious neutral. None of them matched. All of them understood. Fine, Danny said. I will speak, but I will not lie or soften the truth. They will hear exactly what happened. They will hear what the Vraxians did to 20 children in a forest. They will hear what real danger looks like. Good, Cirrus said. They should be uncomfortable. Comfortable people do not change. Danny nodded slowly. Tomorrow, he would stand in front of hundreds of aliens and show them his scar. Tomorrow, he would make them understand that their neat categories were illusions. Tonight, he would sit with 3 unlikely friends and watch the stars turn, preparing words for a speech he never wanted to give. Some responsibilities could not be avoided. Some stories needed to be told. 300 cadets filled the orientation hall. They came from worlds of ice and worlds of fire, from oceans and deserts and forests. They breathed different atmospheres, ate different foods, feared different things. Today, they would all hear the same story. Hallen stood at the front. His 4 arms were folded in the formal position of announcement. Today, we continue our discussion of safety protocols, he said. But first, we have speaker. He is not a professor or an administrator. He is a cadet, like you. He has a perspective that none of us considered when we wrote our rules. He turned toward the side entrance. Cadet Danny Webb will address the assembly. He speaks not as a human representative, but as something that transcends our classification system. He speaks as a hunt survivor. Danny walked out. The room went silent. Every eye, every sensor, every perception organ focused on the thin human in cadet gray. He reached the podium and did not hide behind it. Instead, he stepped to the side where everyone could see him clearly. 2 days ago, you debated whether predator species should be marked and monitored, Danny said. His voice was steady, louder than anyone expected. You argued about safety rules based on biology. You wanted to know who was dangerous. He rolled up his left sleeve slowly. The scar caught the light, ugly and undeniable. This is a Vraxian hunt mark. It means I was designated as prey, not because of what I am, because of what the Vraxians wanted to do to me. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. I was 15 years old. I lived on a colony called New Promise. The Vraxians came at night. They sorted us into categories just like you sorted yourselves yesterday. Strong adults for labor, children for sport. He paused, letting the words settle. 20 of us were released into the forest. We were given 10 minutes to run before they followed. I remember counting the seconds. I remember thinking that my parents were probably already dead and that I would never see them again. I was right about one of those things. Sierra watched from the front row. Her mandibles were still. Goran sat beside her, his massive body rigid with attention. The first night, they caught 8 children. The screaming lasted for hours. I hid in a creek, underwater, breathing through a reed. The water was so cold, I stopped feeling my legs. I stayed there until dawn. Danny's voice did not waver. He had practiced this the night before, repeating the words until they lost their power to break him. By the third day, only 4 of us were left. I had not eaten. I had slept maybe 2 hours. The Vraxians were playing with us. They could have finished us faster, but that would have ruined their fun. A Korlani cadet in the middle section made a sound of distress. Korlani were predator class, hunters by biology, but they were sickened by cruelty. On the 4th day, a Vraxian found me alone. He wanted the glory of the final kill. He was careless. He thought a human child could not hurt him. Danny touched his scar. I proved him wrong with a sharpened bone. The assembly stirred, not with fear now, with something else. I killed him because I had no choice. I was prey that day. I was everything you fear about being helpless. And when I had to survive, I became something else. I became what you fear about being dangerous. He looked across the rows of alien faces. Your classification system says humans are apex predators. It is correct. We are built for hunting, for persistence, for violence. But your system does not tell you what we choose to do with that biology. He pointed to his scar. The Vraxians are predator class too. They chose to hunt children for entertainment. Classification did not make them evil. Choice did. Danny lowered his arm. You want safety rules? Then write rules about behavior, not biology. Write rules about intent, not instinct. Write rules about what species actually do, not what they might theoretically be capable of doing. Goran rose from his seat. His voice boomed across the hall. The Torvax support this position. I was wrong to demand monitoring based on species classification. Danger comes from choices, not categories. Other cadets began standing. A Korlani stood. A Veloxi stood. Even a reptilian predator class cadet stood. Hallen watched with widening eyes. In his entire career, he had never seen unified response from so many species. Danny waited for the noise to settle. I am not asking you to trust predator species blindly. I am asking you to judge individuals by their actions. Watch for cruelty. Watch for those who enjoy hurting others. Watch for those who see sapient beings as toys. He rolled his sleeve back down. That is the mark you should look for. Not the one on my arm. The one in how someone treats those weaker than themselves. He stepped back from the podium. I came to this academy because I wanted to build something better. I wanted to help create a galaxy where children are not hunted for sport. I cannot do that alone. None of us can. Hallen stepped forward. His voice was formal, but his eyes showed something changed. Motion to revise safety protocols based on behavioral assessment rather than species classification. All in favor. The hall filled with sound. Every voice, every click, every rumble of agreement. It was unanimous. Danny walked back to his seat beside Sierra and Gorant. Phoenix reached over and patted his hand with tiny paws. Good speech, the small cadet whispered. Very scary. Very moving. Danny almost smiled. Thank you. The debate was over. The real work was about to begin. 1 month changed everything and nothing. The academy looked the same. The buildings still stood in their careful geometric patterns. The training field still stretched beneath the artificial sky. The cadets still wore the same gray uniforms, but the lines were gone. Danny ran at the front of mixed squad, his breathing steady from weeks of training. Behind him, Sierra kept pace on her four legs, her compound eyes scanning for movement. Goran thundered along at the rear, his massive bulk surprisingly fast when motivated. Phoenix darted between them, quick and agile. The perfect scout, they were not separated by classification anymore. They trained together, ate together, learned together. The new protocols focused on threat assessment skills, teaching cadets to identify dangerous behavior rather than dangerous biology. The simulation horn sounded. Enemy contact. Danny dropped and signaled his squad. Sierra flanked left. Goran provided cover. Phoenix disappeared into the underbrush to gather intelligence. This was what integration looked like. Not forced tolerance, but genuine cooperation. Every species had strengths. Every species had weaknesses. Together, they filled each other's gaps. The exercise ended successfully. Hallen recorded their time with approval in all four of his eyes. Best performance this week, the preceptor said. Your squad works as one unit. Danny accepted the praise with a nod. He had learned to take compliments without deflecting. Sierra said it was healthier that way. After training, Danny returned to his quarters to find a message waiting. Priority transmission. Official alliance channels. He opened it with careful fingers. The message was brief. A Vraxian diplomatic incident at a border station. A being from another species had arrived seeking sanctuary. She bore a hunt mark on her body. She had survived the same nightmare Danny had survived. The Academy was being asked if any hunt survivors could assist with trauma counseling. Danny read the words twice. Then a third time, Sierra appeared at his door. News! There is another survivor. She is asking for help. Sierra's mandibles clicked with understanding. The Vraxians are still hunting. They never stop. Danny touched his arm, feeling the scar through his sleeve. She is alone at a border station. She does not know anyone understands. You understand? Yes. Sierra stepped into the room fully. I will go with you. The Veloxi know what it means to be hunted. My presence may help. Danny looked at his friend, his unlikely ally, his fellow survivor in spirit, if not in experience. 1 month ago, she had been afraid of him. Now she offered to travel across space to help a stranger. Thank you, he said. They found Hallen in his office. The preceptor listened to their request without interrupting. This is irregular, Hallen said finally. You are cadets. This is a diplomatic situation. She is a survivor, Danny replied. She needs someone who understands, not someone with proper credentials. Hallen's 4 eyes blinked slowly. The integration program was designed to teach species to work together. It was not designed to create crisis response teams. Maybe it should have been, Sierra said. Maybe that is what integration truly means. Not just sharing space, sharing purpose. The preceptor was silent for a long moment. Then he reached for his tablet. I am authorizing temporary leave for trauma support deployment. You will represent the Academy. You will demonstrate what this program can produce. Danny and Sierra exchanged glances. There will be more survivors, Danny said. The Vraxians hunt constantly. There will always be more people carrying marks they never asked for. What are you suggesting? Danny had thought about this every night since his speech to the assembly. He had thought about it while training with his mixed squad, while learning to trust aliens he once would have feared, while watching the Academy transform around him. Appel maintenant uni. Survivors helping survivors. Not just trauma counseling. Prevention. Investigation. Response. You're talking about a military force. I'm talking about advocates. People who know what the marks mean. People who can find survivors before they break. People who can teach others what real danger looks like. Hallen set down his tablet. Such a unit would require resources. Training. Official recognition. Then give us those things. Start small. Start with us. Sierra stepped forward. The Veloxi would support this. We have waited generations for someone to take action against the Vraxians. We are tired of waiting. The preceptor looked at the 2 cadets standing before him. A human death worlder with a scar on his arm. A Veloxi insectoid with ancestral trauma in her blood. Both of them fierce. Both of them gentle. Both of them exactly what the galaxy needed. I will speak to the council, Hallen said. No promises. But I will speak. Danny nodded. It was enough. It was a beginning point. 3 hours later, Danny and Sierra boarded a transport ship. The border station was 2 days away. A stranger was waiting for them, frightened and scarred and completely alone. Not for long. Danny looked out the viewport as the academy shrank behind them. He rolled up his sleeve and studied the mark on his arm. 3 parallel lines. Prey designation. Unfinished hunt. The Vraxians had given him that mark to show ownership. They had branded him as game, as entertainment, as something less than a person. They had made a mistake. The mark was not ownership anymore. It was identification. It was proof. It was a promise. Danny pulled his sleeve back down and turned toward the future. The hunt was no longer one-sided. The prey had learned to protect each other, and they were just getting started.